Spirituality is so amazing, and it's all about personal growth and inner peace and feeling like there's something bigger than yourself, there's a universe. It creates a connection and a oneness with body, mind and soul. Who doesn't love that idea? But there's also a dark side to it that I wanted to talk about because that has been my experience. I'm Chantal, holistic counselor and Akashic record here at Unfold Your Freedom. Now, when I was going through a really tough time, I felt I'd done enough counseling and I was in a lot of pain still, but I thought, no, I'll turn to spirituality because I really was drawn into what people were talking about. I got sucked in, and also I wanted to get away from this deep, deep pain that I was experiencing. And I didn't want to do it on my own anymore. I wanted, in a way, what I didn't realize was that I'd handed over my power and given it to the spiritualists or the gurus. So I was following them rather than myself, and I'd become so disconnected I didn't realize. But at the time, it felt fantastic. I mean, who doesn't love oracle tarot cards, crystals, yoga, guided meditations, Akashic record readings, going to spiritual retreats, going to, healing centers, sacred geometry, sound healing, gong baths. These are all amazing. But when you're relying solely on them to heal you, and particularly from trauma, it actually can be doing you damage. It can actually be bypassing what you're really feeling, and you're not taking responsibility for your own healing. You're not taking responsibility for yourself, because healing from trauma is messy. It can only come from you. What you need is a facilitator, someone to support you through that, not tell you what to do, okay? You want to feel endlessly good. You are told to feel endlessly good. And this is what the bypassing all about. And this is what I'm going to talk about, share with you little bits and pieces afterwards about what happens here, what you might have experienced yourself. So what you do is, and I did this, I devoured everything. I bought courses, I read books, I meditated in such a way that I got all these lovely insights. I did journaling. It was all about remaining positive. But what I was not doing was really experiencing these inner feelings, these deep emotions were coming up. And I felt shame, I needed to constantly be positive. So what I did was, nothing kept working. I didn't realize this. It had become an addiction to have this high vibe. So I kept searching, I kept seeking. And what finally hit me was two things. When a really wonderful psychologist said to me, and he's a First Nations here in Australia, and he came to me and he said, "Stop right now." And I got such a shock. He said, "You're not in your body anymore. You've got to come back into your body and start feeling." And I was like, oh, really? What am I doing here? But it was the wake-up call that I needed. Now I've forgotten what the second bit was. Oh, yes, that's right. I had an Akashic record reading where I was supporting someone as a student, and I wanted to resolve an issue that I couldn't resolve myself. And all it did was trigger more trauma, because a lot of Akashic record readers, and I'm going to say this mindfully, are not trained counselors, psychologists, don't always know how to support you when you get triggered. And in my opinion, it cannot heal from trauma. You've got to do that internal work. So it triggered me into shame. How could I have not done this myself? Because she's put all the guides around me, and then they did all the work and then said, "Now you are healed." And what it did for me was, this is the first time I'm sharing it, so a little bit anxious about this, was, why couldn't I do this myself? Why didn't my guides do this before? How could I have not known about this? So I'm very mindful now of how I use spirituality and how I teach it, because I really want to say to use it more as a support rather than the actual go-to. That's what's important, because we fear being vulnerable. We want to be part of something. We want to belong. We want to feel at home. See, I did all that. I wanted to feel understood. And I wanted this image of being, I'm spiritual, look at me, rather than having that messy side coming in. I've changed all that now because it felt easier, but it negated everything I was going through. It negated. So for 3 or 4 years, I was just negating myself. And really, it was all there anyhow. It was just repressed and it needed to come out and out. And the other thing they say is, so this is how it comes out, is that you'll be shown the way. Trust your guides. It's all in divine timing. It's all in divine perfection. I couldn't get a grasp on that. And I kept thinking, why am I still feeling this way? Why isn't it happening? Well, of course, it couldn't happen because I was too busy waiting for something to happen, something miraculous and magical to happen for me when it actually wasn't. I didn't feel it in here. I was so disconnected from myself. All right, so what they're doing is you are not addressing your issues. So you're taught to meditate, to cultivate these positive emotions. You attract, so when you are negative, what they're saying to you is that you don't attract what you want. I kept being positive, but I didn't get what I wanted, particularly this was in business. So of course what that does is it shames you, it makes you feel like a failure, you're not getting it right. And often that is also put onto you by the spiritualists, by the coaches, that it's somehow your fault. And that ties into when you've had childhood trauma, believing and trusting authority. Well, of course it's my fault. I've been told that all my life. So what am I not doing wrong? So you keep going. And what happens is it can become an addiction. Well, it did for me because I kept looking, kept searching, kept going to the next person because nothing actually worked. But of course it wasn't going to work. Not my story, not my energy. And it was out here, not within here. So again, they're talking about the law of attraction. So this is another one where you try so hard to be positive. You try so hard to put it out there. You try so hard to have all your goals. But it simply doesn't happen. So no matter what you do, it's not happening. So this can leave you in limbo. This can leave you in doubting yourself. You become reliant on external advice. You become reliant on others. It makes you needy. And of course, it compounds the trauma and what you're experiencing. So you're needing validation from someone else rather than from yourself. Now, in the beginning of my trauma, I did need validation. I needed validation for my counselor or psychologist to say to me, what you're going through is difficult. So do need validation, but then it eventually has to become from within ourselves. And that's part of the growth and part of the transformation that we have. And you've got to start beginning to trust your inner wisdom again. That takes time, that takes practice. We've got to make mistakes. You can't always be positive. Failure does happen. You know, it's taking those risks. It's coming back. It's going back. You're going to take steps forward, steps back. So what you're doing is when you're relying on someone else, when you're relying on the spiritual world, you are being passive. You're not actually being proactive. You're not taking responsibility for your life. You're not taking action. You are waiting. I will wait for what my guides will say. I will go and check my tarot cards. We become reliant on that. Let me tell you, I did. I worked with crystals. I worked with, as I said, angel cards. I worked with Akashic records. Oh my goodness, I did everything possible, but felt I wasn't getting anywhere and I didn't understand it. This is why I want to share with you my experience, okay? Because then you lose agency of yourself. You lose sight of who you are. You no longer trust here. So remember, healing comes from within, not without. You have to do the work as we are our own healers. Yes, we need support, absolutely, but ultimately it comes from within us. You need a safe container, and see, a therapist can give you that, whereas a spiritualist doesn't give you that necessarily. Then, as I said before, they're not trained to be counselors. It's a whole different way of being. It's not appropriate, rather, to have someone else do it for you. Of course, we all want that. It's sometimes way too hard, but it's not going to work for you. So that's what I said. I got lost in my spirituality and I wanted to be miraculously healed, but I didn't feel safe and I didn't get that. I so lost sight of myself. I was so out of my body. When I finally came back, I realized not only did I need to feel safe in the world, but I needed to be safe within. Then I found a different spirituality. Then I connected to my heart and my body. Yes, I do believe in something bigger than myself. Yes, I go with flow. I listen to my intuition. I bring the masculine and feminine together, but in a whole different way. I meditate to really experience my feelings, all my feelings, not just being positive and happy clappy. So you need to get critical thinking. Now, something I was shown by the psychologist was, as a child, being brought up in a violent home, I didn't know how to have critical thinking. I was either all or nothing. And I didn't know how to be discriminating. I thought it was just discriminating. So I didn't know how to say, actually, no, that's not for me. Yes, that is. So it's learning how to have critical thinking. So now when I see things like spiritual healing, this heals from trauma, I go, oops, really? It can be part of it. It can be a support, but is it actually healing from trauma? So When you get critical thinking, you start listening to hear. Does this feel right? Doesn't it feel right? Why am I doing this? Why am I taking myself out of my body? Can I learn from it? Yes, but why am I doing this? Is it to expand who you already are, or is it to actually do it for you? That's what I'm trying to say to you. And healing is a lifelong journey. And we will weave in and out. Of course we will. We will want to do other things. And ultimately it comes back to being within yourself, finding the inner wisdom and inner strength to be yourself. And you need to trust yourself. This is it. Trust and believe in yourself and not what everyone else says. It's so easy to get lost in that. As I said, put my hand up. I did. So just don't have blind faith, because that is also a form of control. Because what you don't realize is it's a control. It's taking you outside of yourself. And of course, then you can be played with. Then you'll be sucked into all sorts of things and you wonder, how on earth did you get there? Again, that was me. So it takes time to heal. A lot of learning to love yourself, accept, compassion, all those words, to feel safe with yourself and in your body. So what can it look like? Just let go. Release emotions quick without fully feeling and processing them. It's all in divine order. So what you do is you hand over. So what you're doing is waiting. Positive vibes only. It is for the best. And I talk about this in my previous one with toxic positivity, because these are similar things that happen here, where it's again negating your experience. It's all happening for a reason. Really? I don't believe that. It might be afterwards you can see the context, but when you're going through it, no, not necessarily. Rise above it. So again, it's rising above negativity, it's rising above the world, it's rising above anger, it's all an illusion what's happening. No, it is actually real. It is real. You're bigger than that. Oh my gosh, you're bigger than that. Rise above it. No. Why can't you feel like this? Right at that moment, that's how you're feeling. You don't feel bigger than that. And it's just, I'm just going to focus on love and light. A lot of it is about just love and light, happy, love and light. This is it. This is life. No, it's not. Reality is you're going to have the darkness as well. You think of night and day, winter and summer. We're always going to have that. I'm not attached to money or material things. So again, we get lulled into that. Material things are important too. Money is important, but again, it's your attitude around it. And that's what we see out there. Oh, no, I don't want to be attached to things like that. No, that's not being spiritual. I'm at peace with everything. When someone says that to me, really, are you? What are you trying to deny here? Are you really at peace? So just tune into your body, take a deep breath and listen, go within and listen. I'm just going to surrender. I think I've already said that one, to it all to the universe. I don't experience negative emotions anymore. I don't engage in negativity. It's just a test from the universe. So again, a test from the universe. Sometimes when you're doing something big and taking steps to change, you may be tested by your own ego, because it's really saying, do you really want this? So it is actually strengthening for you. But again, you need to be aware and discerning. I'm too spiritual to be angry. I'm not allowed to feel angry. My God, how many times have I heard that with clients and, oh, I can't be angry. That's not being spiritual. It is. It's being normal. That's human beings. So just to end on this, what I found is it's about combining your journey of self-discovery whilst developing spirituality. So you're going to do both. So learn to have critical thinking, be spiritual in your own beautiful way. Love to hear your comments and what you think. And again, this is my own personal experience that I wanted to share with you. Some of it might resonate, some of it might not, or it might get you to start thinking more critically. Thank you for witnessing me. If you'd like to get some more, subscribe and hit the notifications button.